Hi, my name is Clover Hogan. I'm a 23-year-old climate activist and the founder and executive director of youth nonprofit Force of Nature. We are coming up to COP27, and what that tells us is that we've been having these conversations for over 27 years. Still, decision makers in historic seats of power are failing to treat the climate emergency like an emergency. So many of the solutions at the center of global discourse are techno-utopian and don't address the root of the crisis, or they're simply tokenistic. They plaster over a much bigger problem. What COP26 showed me last year is that more than ever, we need new voices in the room. We're not going to solve the climate crisis with the same people and the same thinking that created it. So this year at COP, it's so important that we have people in decision-making spaces, not just handed the microphone, who have historically been excluded from those spaces. That includes frontline communities, BIPOC communities, the global south, the people who have contributed least to the climate crisis, yet are already paying its worst consequences. We all know that in Pakistan this year, 33 million people were displaced. And even though it's not making the headlines, 1.5 million people have also been displaced by flooding in Nigeria. We saw record-breaking droughts and heat waves across Europe. We saw more intense cyclones and hurricanes around the world. There's no doubt that the climate crisis is not something happening in the future, it's something happening today. So we need frontline communities in the room, and critically, we need the people who are inheriting the worst consequences of the climate crisis. The people who are actually going to inherit the decisions that are being made in these spaces, and that's why young people must have a seat at the table. We need radically new ideas, we need radically more transformative solutions, and that's why it's so important, again, that we don't just offer young people microphones and platforms, but we truly listen to them, we truly elevate those young people into positions of power. At COP, I also want to see recognition for loss and damage. Countries, wealthy countries, have talked about this year on year, but where is the money? Where is the support? Where is the resource to help the countries that are already living through a climate crisis today? And critically, we need community resilience. We need to galvanize action within our own neighborhoods. As the spotlight shines on Egypt, it's so important that we create spaces for connection, communication, collaboration. Again, the leaders in those positions of power have proven that they're incapable with the instruments and the tools that they have today to solve this crisis. And so we need to take power back upon ourselves. That is why Force of Nature launched climate cafes, self-organized community spaces for people to come together to talk about how the climate crisis makes us feel, to address the elephant in the room, the huge rise of eco-anxiety, the fact that more and more young people are falling into despair while the adults in our lives are ensnared in denial. We need to create spaces to come together, to be human, to be vulnerable, and then we need to have spaces to understand how to channel those normal but difficult emotions into action.